Okay, let's unpack this. We've got these excerpts here from Dr. Mercola, Your Guide to Cellular Health. Looks like unlocking longevity and joy.
Yeah, it definitely presents itself as a deep dive into, well, the author's view on why we get sick, fundamentally sick.
Right, and maybe how to reverse it, according to this source. It seems like it's pulling from decades of his research, his
That's
experience.
the idea presented, yes. A comprehensive guide based on that. And the mission really is getting to the why these health challenges are so common now.
So our mission for this deep dive is to pull out the key stuff for you, the listener, the main insights, some surprising facts maybe, and the advice the author gives.
Cutting through the noise, essentially. And getting to what this book argues is crucial for your health.
And the core idea, it seems, revolves around cellular energy, mitochondria, and gut health, that connection.
Exactly. The source keeps coming back to that.
Oh, yeah.
How efficiently your cells make energy is presented as the absolute foundation. And yeah, the gut link is central. He even uses his own health journey as a kind of case study throughout the book.
Okay, so let's jump into that core problem then, because the argument here is pretty bold. It's not just diet or exercise or genes.
No, the source posits that the real root issue, for many modern problems anyway, is this decrease in cellular energy production.
Like the cells themselves are running low on power.
That's the central claim.
Yeah.
Your mitochondria inside the cells aren't making enough energy. And when that basic system falters, the whole body feels it. Things start to go wrong.
And these mitochondria, they're workhorses when healthy, right?
Yeah.
I saw a stat in here. Something staggering about ATP production.
Oh, yeah, it's mind-boggling. The source says a healthy body makes, get this, about 150 pounds of ATP every day.
150 pounds. That's the energy currency, right? Adenosine triphosphate.
That's the one. It's the fuel for absolutely everything your cells do. No, it gets recycled constantly, obviously, but the sheer scale tells you how much energy is needed.
So if you're not making that much, you're running on fumes, basically, at a cellular level.
You're operating in a deficit, yeah. And the source makes this really critical link, maybe an unexpected one for some, between that energy deficit and your gut health.
How does low cellular energy affect the gut microbiome?
Okay, so this is where it gets really interesting, according to the book. It talks about a crucial oxygen gradient in your colon. Your large intestine is supposed to be very low oxygen, anaerobic.
Right, for the good bacteria.
Exactly. For beneficial bugs, like, say, Akkermansia, to thrive, they hate oxygen. But maintaining that super low oxygen environment, that takes energy. Cellular energy in the gut lining.
Ah, so if the gut cells are low on energy,
they can't maintain that strict gradient. Oxygen levels start creeping up in the colon.
And that kills the good guys, the oxygen-hating ones.
It does. It wipes them out, or at least reduces them significantly.
Right.
And that makes space for the less desirable bacteria, the ones that can tolerate oxygen, to multiply.
And those are the ones making endotoxin?
Precisely. These oxygen-tolerant bacteria thrive and pump out endotoxin. The source calls endotoxin a potent mitochondrial toxin.
So it's a vicious cycle.
Totally. Low energy lets bad bugs grow. They make endotoxin. The endotoxin damages mitochondria more, which lowers energy further. Round and round it goes.
And this whole mess, the oxygen, the bad bacteria, the endotoxin, the source, connects this directly to insulin resistance.
Yeah. It argues this gut dysfunction is a major and often just completely overlooked driver of insulin resistance and many other chronic issues.
So instead of just treating symptoms like maybe with drugs that mimic gut hormones.
Right, like GLP-1 agonists, things like Wegovy are mentioned. The author suggests we should be asking why the body isn't making enough of those signals naturally. And he points back to this cellular energy and gut health problem.
And you can measure insulin resistance. The book mentions HOME-IR.
The HOME-IR test.
Yeah.
Presented as a simple, inexpensive way to see where you stand. The author even shares his own score, which he got down to 0.2, remarkably low.
Wow. And he links that to being able to use carbs more efficiently.
Yeah, better metabolic flexibility. He argues it's a direct result of fixing his cellular energy production. It makes his personal story quite compelling, you know? He talks about this persistent rash he had.
Oh, yeah, the one doctors couldn't diagnose.
That's the one. And he eventually traces it back, through his own research and experience, to these underlying cellular and gut issues. It really drives home the point about looking for root causes.
Okay, so core problem.
Yeah.
Low cellular energy, starting in the gut, leading to endotoxins. Now, the source lays out 4 big external threats that make this worse. The 4 E's.
Yes, these are framed as the main modern culprits attacking our cellular energy. And importantly, The source suggests they work together, they synergize, making the total impact much worse.
So what are they?
They are excess essential fats, estrogens, including the synthetic kind, electromagnetic fields or EMFs, and endotoxins, which we've already touched on.
Right, let's break down that first E, excess essential fats. Seed oils, basically.
Primarily, yeah. The focus is heavily on processed vegetable and seed oils, safflower, sunflower, corn, soybean, those ones, loaded with linoleic acid, or LA, and omega-6 polyunsaturated fat.
And the issue is just how much we eat now compared to historically?
Dramatically more. The source cites figures like maybe 1–2% of calories historically versus potentially 25% today. That's a fundamental change in the building blocks of our cells.
Okay, so what does the source say this flood of LA does to our cells? How does it hurt energy production?
Well, the book explains that this excess LA gets built right into your cell membranes. It takes the place of more stable fats, and once it's there, LA is really unstable, prone to oxidation.
Making the membranes leaky or fragile.
Less stable, less efficient, it undergoes these harmful changes that the source says essentially steal energy. It critiques studies claiming these oils are healthy, arguing they're a major factor in chronic diseases, obesity, especially that dangerous visceral fat.
Which ties into those metabolic stats you mentioned earlier.
Absolutely. That 99% insulin resistance estimate, the high obesity rates, hypertension. The source connects the dots back to things like high seed oil intake driving that inflammatory visceral fat.
Okay, second E, estrogens, including xenoestrogens and microplastics. The point isn't that estrogen is bad, but too much is.
Exactly. Natural estrogen has vital roles. But the source argues the problem is the overwhelming total estrogenic load we face now, and that excess disrupts mitochondria.
And a lot of that excess comes from outside sources, xenoestrogens.
Synthetic chemicals that mimic estrogen, found in plastics, pesticides, personal care products, even in the air and water, they add to our baseline estrogenic activity.
And microplastics are flagged as a huge contributor here.
The numbers are pretty terrifying. Plastic production just exploding, 1.5 million tons in 1950 to 400 million now, heading towards maybe 1.2 billion by 2060.
And we recycle, what, 9% of it?
Globally, yeah, something like that. So the rest is breaking down, getting smaller, accumulating everywhere, including in us. And the book stresses these particles continuously leach toxins, including xenoestrogens, over time. It gets worse every year.
Are there ways to reduce exposure suggested?
Yeah, practical things. Switching to glass or stainless steel instead of plastic for food. Choosing organic foods to limit pesticides. Supporting detox pathways like sweating through sauna or exercise.
Okay.
And the source also mentions progesterone, the hormone, potentially helping balance things out by affecting estrogen receptors and supporting liver detox.
Got it. Third E, EMFs, electromagnetic fields. Exposure has skyrocketed, obviously.
From microwaves and cordless phones initially, then boom, cell phones. More phones than people now, the source notes.
And the argument is that this tech enthusiasm maybe got ahead of checking the biological impact.
That's the framing. The source presents EMFs as mitochondrial toxins. They penetrate cells and disrupt the delicate electrical balance, the flow of ions and electrons that mitochondria rely on to make energy, like static messing up the wiring.
So mitigation strategies, what does the book suggest?
Creating low EMF zones is key, especially the bedroom. Get electronics away from the bed, using wired connections like Ethernet instead of Wi-Fi where possible.
Okay.
It even talks about using EMF meters, maybe ones with sound so you can sort of hear the fields and pinpoint sources.
Yeah.
Like maybe discovering a car charger plugged in right by your bed is a big emitter.
Simple things. Airplane mode on trackers at night.
Yeah, reducing exposure where you can, especially during sleep and repair time.
And the fourth E, endotoxins, just brings it all back together.
Right. The first three E's, the fats, the estrogens, the EMFs, they all impair cellular energy, especially in the gut lining. That leads to the oxygen problem. The bad bacteria take over.
And produce more endotoxins.
Exactly. Which damages mitochondria further. It's how external threats fuel that internal vicious cycle.
The source also mentioned these four E's might share a common pathway for damage. Something about peroxynitrite.
Yes. Instead of just the usual reactive oxygen species, or ROS, the book argues these factors strongly contribute to producing peroxynitrite. It's described as a much nastier, longer-lasting molecule that really damages cells.
But then there was that surprising twist. Carbon dioxide helps.
Kind of amazing, right? The source highlights that CO2, which our body makes naturally through metabolism, can actually neutralize peroxynitrite, turns this really damaging thing into something less harmful. an example of the body's own protective mechanisms when working properly.
Okay, so we have the problem, the threats,
Yeah.
but the book is definitely solutions focused too. It's about empowerment, right? Knowing the problem lets you act.
Absolutely. The next big section is all about foundational strategies to uh, revitalize those cellular engines, and it starts with movement.
Makes sense, but it's not just about burning calories.
No, not at all. It emphasizes why movement is critical at this level. It argues being sedentary actually prevents recovery, echoing that sitting is the new smoking idea, linking it to dozens of diseases. Just an hour of sitting can cut artery blood flow significantly.
So exercise literally changes your cells.
It overhauls them.
Yeah.
The analogy used is turning a small power plant into a whole energy grid. Activity tells your cells, make more mitochondria and make the existing ones work better, more efficient energy production.
And the benefits go way beyond weight or muscle, according to the source.
Oh, hugely. Better insulin sensitivity, getting glucose into cells properly, hormone balance, big boost for brain health, potentially reducing those protein clumps in Alzheimer's, helping motor function in Parkinson's.
Wow.
And a really key one highlighted is lymphatic circulation. Your lymph system clears waste, supports immunity, but it needs movement. Exercise acts like a pump for it.
Yeah.
Even deep breathing helps move that fluid.
What kind of activity is recommended? Sounds like it doesn't have to be extreme.
No, definitely emphasizes moderation initially. Walking is huge, aiming for maybe an hour a day, split up if needed. Adding strength training is important too, but finding your sweet spot, not overdoing intense stuff right away if your energy is low.
And monitoring temperature and pulse.
Yeah, as a simple check on your metabolism. A higher temp and lower resting pulse aiming for maybe 70-90 BPM are generally good signs. Fitness trackers are mentioned as potentially useful tools, but with cautions about EMFs from phones maybe, and not getting obsessed with the numbers.
Even posture comes up.
Standing tall isn't just appearance. The source connects it to physical efficiency, using less energy just to hold yourself up, and better nervous system function.
Okay, next big pillar, nutrition. And the take on carbs, fats, protein is maybe a bit different, especially carbs.
It definitely challenges the idea that carbs are the enemy across the board. The source argues glucose is actually the preferred optimal fuel for mitochondria, especially the brain. It needs a lot, maybe 200, 250 grams a day minimum, it suggests.
So very low carb long-term might not be ideal, according to this.
The book argues that while it might initially help by starving some bad gut bacteria, prolonged very low carb intake can eventually decrease cellular energy production and thyroid function. Unintended consequences.
So it's more about a tailored, balanced approach.
Exactly. Tailored to your gut health. It mentions maybe using a color system of red, yellow, green for carbs, starting with easily digestible ones if your gut is healing. Simple carbs like fruit, honey are framed as good for liver function. Complex carbs like starches need consideration.
Things like white rice or sweet potatoes might be okay during healing.
They're given as examples of potentially easier to handle starches for a sensitive gut. Yeah.
And what about the fiber paradox?
Right. Fiber is good generally, but the source says if your gut bacteria are already messed up, lots of fiber can just feed the bad guys, leading to more endotoxin and gas. But when good bacteria ferment fiber, they make short-chain fatty acids, SCFAs.
And those are good.
Crucial. They energize your colon cells directly and support healthy metabolism. So you need the right bacteria to handle the fiber properly.
Any specific carbs get a thumbs up.
Sourdough bread is mentioned for the fermentation benefits. Nixtamalized corn, like in traditional tortillas, gets highlighted for boosting calcium and reducing anti-nutrients. But a huge point is choosing organic grains whenever possible to avoid things like glyphosate.
And candida. It's not just about sugar.
The source links candida overgrowth more to excess iron, low thyroid, and that low gut energy environment. Suggests simply starving it of carbs might make it more invasive, not solve the root problem.
Okay, fats. Pretty clear message. Avoid the high PUFA seed oils.
Foundational, yes. Instead, the recommendation is strongly towards traditional, stable fats. Tallow, grass-fed butter, ghee, coconut oil. Mentioned for moderate use, focusing on its polyphenols.
Okay.
And there's a push to support farmers raising animals specifically for low LA content, like seeking out low LA eggs.
And protein's super important, especially as we age.
Absolutely vital. For everything from maintaining muscle mass, fighting sarcopenia, to metabolism, bone health, immune function. The book mentions the DIA score for protein quality, noting animal proteins usually score high.
Specific amino acids are called out.
Yeah, methionine, phenylalanine, threonine, valine, tryptophan, discussing their roles, linking tryptophan to serotonin, but also how it can impact enzymes needed for ATP production.
And glycine gets a special mention, like an unsung hero.
It really does. Described as powerful, maybe conditionally essential, meaning we might need more than we can make sometimes. Roles in making glutathione, anti-inflammatory effects, even lifespan in animal studies,
Good for the gut, too.
particularly highlighted for gut healing. Collagen and gelatin are rich sources, helping coat the digestive tract. The source clarifies they break down to the same amino acids, like glycine, once eaten. Just need pure sources.
Then there's the calcium and phosphate balance. This seemed counterintuitive.
It is. The source argues strongly that low calcium intake, paradoxically, is linked to calcification where you don't want it, arteries, soft tissues.
How does that work?
It's complex, involves hormonal responses, maybe lactic acid buildup from poor energy metabolism, pH shifts, all making the body more likely to deposit calcium inappropriately, sometimes binding with problematic metals like iron or aluminum. It contributes to aging markers.
And we get too much phosphate, usually.
Often, yeah, from modern diets. The source suggests aiming for a K-PAVA-P ratio closer to 1.1 or 1.3.1. Recommend sources like raw dairy, cheese, even eggshell powder if carefully prepared. Shares an anecdote about someone seeing big improvements by fixing this ratio.
Iron overload is another big one, a silent killer.
Presented that way, yes.
Wow.
Excess iron drives oxidative stress linked to heart disease, cancer, and it fuels bad bacteria and viruses, increasing infection risk.
Who's most at risk?
People with hemochromatosis, older men, and postmenopausal women generally. Transfusion recipients. Monitoring ferritin levels is key, aiming for maybe 2040 ngml, with levels over 200 seen as pathological.
And solutions involve diet, maybe blood donation.
Reducing high iron red meat, unless it's low LA, donating blood regularly if appropriate, and maybe supplements like milk thistle, silymarin are mentioned.
Even cooking methods get a nod. Pressure cooking.
Yeah, electric pressure cooking is advocated for making nutrient-dense foods really easy to digest, great for a sensitive gut. Plus, the benefit of cooking from scratch.
Okay, diet, movement, then sunlight. This challenges the sun is bad narrative.
Big time. Cites that Swedish study linking sun avoidance to higher mortality, similar risks to smoking, frames sunlight as an essential, often overlooked nutrient.
Because of vitamin D?
That's a huge part. Skin makes vitamin D from UVB. The source says you can potentially make massive amounts, like 25,000 IU, on a sunny day.
And the benefits of optimal D are huge.
Extensive list in the source: gene regulation, lower risk of cancers, heart disease, autoimmune issues, better mood, sleep, bones, immunity, anti-inflammatory. Even impacts aging pathways like AMPK.
But a major warning attached to this.
Crucial point. The source strongly advises against sun exposure if your diet is high in those seed oils, the high LA ones.
Why?
Because that excess LA gets stored in your fat, under the skin. UV light hitting it can oxidize that LA, creating inflammation and damage right there. So sunlight plus bad fats is bad news.
So fix the diet first.
That's the recommendation. Avoid sun or be very careful for maybe 6 months after cutting out seed oils, giving your body time to clear the stored LA. Then mindful exposure becomes beneficial again. Skin type matters too, of course.
The book also covers some targeted support. Supplements tests, like Akkermansia.
Yeah, the focus is on live Akkermansia probiotics actually reaching the colon. It's tricky because it hates oxygen, so delivery tech like special capsules is stressed as vital. Taking it on an empty stomach helps too.
Magnesium comes up too.
Essential for nerves, muscles, blood pressure, clotting. Aiming for maybe 300 to 500 milligrams plus XN, roughly half your calcium intake, is suggested. Loose stools mean you took too much.
Niacinamide, B3 for NAD+.
Right. NAD+ is presented as critical for energy conversion, DNA repair, longevity pathways. Levels drop with age. Boosting NAD+ is framed as improving cellular energy. There's even an NAD+ test mentioned for tracking progress.
And thiamine, B1, why is that one so important?
Because it's needed for the very first step in using glucose for energy, even before it gets to the mitochondria. Without enough thiamine, that process jams up. You get lactate buildup, less ATP.
Affects nerves too, brain function.
Yes, important for the myelin sheath around nerves. Deficiency linked to heart failure potential, brain fog, cognitive issues. Recommended intakes are given, but the source suggests many might need more.
Wow, okay. That covers the core issues, threats, and the big solutions presented. And the author ties it all together with his own story, right? That rash.
Yeah, it's a really central part of the narrative. How this frustrating, undiagnosable rash eventually led him, through persistence, to understand it was oxalates coming out through his skin because his kidneys couldn't handle the load.
Through hair follicles and sweat.
That's the explanation given.
Yeah.
And that realization pushed him towards the deeper issues of cellular energy and gut health as the ultimate root cause. It's a powerful illustration. He even mentions unexpected benefits later, like needing less sleep and getting taller.
Ah, getting taller. Okay. And the book provides a practical plan, a roadmap.
Yeah, it often lays out something like a 4-week structure. Week 1, foundations, clearing out bad foods, starting to walk. Week 2, building meals, increasing activity. Week 3, adding strength training. It's a guide to start implementing, focusing on consistency, like an 80-20 approach.
With a clear shopping and meal philosophy based on all this.
Definitely. Focus on nutrient density, organic, pasture-raised. Balancing meals with those specific fats, proteins including collagen, gelatin, and the bright carbs for your gut. Sample meals are provided to show how it looks in practice, like potato, cheese, eggs, fruit for breakfast, maybe sweet potato for lunch, beef shank for dinner.
And finally, resources for support. Testing, clinics.
Testing like NAD plus E, maybe HOMA-Y, ferritin, but also mentions broader support, like the author's clinics or health coaches. Even pharmacy doctors helping people reduce medications are noted.
Contrasting that with the high prescription rate in the U.S.
Yeah, that stat 17 prescriptions per person per year is used to highlight the difference between symptom management and addressing the underlying causes from the author's perspective.
So, wrapping up this deep dive, the absolute key takeaways from this source.
I'd say it's the intense focus on cellular energy and gut health as the bedrock. Identifying those 4 E's, the fats, estrogens, EMFs, endotoxins, as major modern saboteurs. And critically, the idea that you can take action through foundational strategies, tailored diet, smart movement, sunlight, to potentially rebuild that cellular vitality.
And it's presented as more than just personal health, a healthcare revolution.
That's the language used. A shift away from just reacting to symptoms towards proactively nurturing the body's fundamental energy systems.
So, a final thought for our listener to chew on based on this material.
Maybe consider this. If cellular energy truly is the foundation, perhaps real health, longevity, that sense of joy, maybe it's less about avoiding specific diseases and more about maximizing the energetic potential of every single cell.
And the key might be simpler than we think.
Perhaps. It might lie in those consistent daily choices about what fats you eat, how you interact with light and fields, how you move.
Yeah.
Choices that cumulatively build up or drain away that fundamental cellular vitality.